Let me try that again. Sorry. The board is convened today for one purpose, item 4 on our agenda. This is a special meeting. Special meetings are to be focused on the agenda topic at hand, especially during public comments. Folks, I want to tell you real quickly, we are not allowed to respond to public comments. There are a number of small exceptions in which the board can respond to public comments. So if we do little more than say thank you, folks, that's what we're allowed to do. So please keep that in mind. We are moving now on to public comments. The board will hear public comments from the audience during the public comment portion only. Individuals wishing to speak must have added their name to a list of registered public comments, of which we have 6 tonight. The board will allot 3 minutes for tonight's public comment portion per each speaker. Again, each speaker will be afforded 3 minutes. We will be tracking that on our screens here. Please respect the privacy of others and refrain from identifying students, employees, or other community members by name. The board requests that any comments on any subject, whether positive or negative, remain courteous and respectful. Disruption of the meeting will not be tolerated at any time. I want to remind you that we cannot speak to specific students' comments or issues other than specifically your own child during a public comment, and please refrain from referencing other students. And at any point during that public comment, if those guidelines are not adhered to as a presiding officer, I will ask you to stop, and we will start with the next public speaker. All right, folks, so let's get started. First speaker tonight, Aaron Folkenroth of Montgomery, Texas.
At both the special and regular meetings of the school board last week, I learned a great deal about the experience Ms. Hensley has had during her time of employment at Lincoln. Ms. Hensley informed the board that the administration and nurse violated state laws through mistreatment and photographs posted on social media of her son while he was in foster care. I am familiar with foster care protocols, which would require Ms. Hensley to report these violations to his caseworker to protect his placement in her family's care. Based on her statements last week, she continued to be forced to advocate for his equitable education under the law after his adoption. However, she no longer had his caseworker to help. When that caseworker, who would have been documenting the issues at the school, was no longer in the picture, it seems apparent to me that retaliation against Ms. Hensley started, which ultimately led to the refusal to renew her contract with MISD and attempt to terminate her without cause last week. In addition to considering retaliation as a motivating factor in the decision, I would also like to ask the board to review the attendees at last week's special board meeting. I took note of no less than 7 members of administration and instructional staff present in hopes of seeing you vote to terminate Ms. Hensley. Personally, I've always taken termination decisions seriously, no matter how egregious the violation committed by an employee. The decision to terminate someone is the decision to take food out of the mouths of that person's family, and it should never be used as entertainment. I was disgusted to see so many callously hoping to see someone lose their livelihood, and it's even more disgusting to think that these are supposed to be people we trust to care for our children. In my opinion, seeing the people grouped in a clique at that meeting shows just how hostile of a work environment this exceptional teacher has been forced to work in. I would also like to point out my belief that the retaliation towards Ms. Hensley and the hostile work environment has also impacted our children. On April 6th, my son told me about his class being left unattended while his teacher attended one of her 2 weekly required meetings, which occurred during instructional time. From my understanding from other educators, administration is responsible for finding coverage for the class in this type of situation. However, this coverage was not obtained. For nearly an hour, our class full of 5th graders was left to their own devices. While we are lucky that nothing happened to the kids during this time, I'm appalled that our children's safety was put at risk by the failure of the administration. I'm left to wonder if this oversight wasn't either intentionally or unintentionally a result of this administration making the work environment difficult for Ms. Hensley. I'm also upset that I had to find out this information from my child. Administration has never told us about the unsafe situation they caused. However, when their reputation was being questioned after the last board meetings, they quickly sent out an email to all parents to try to make us believe Ms. Hensley has had poor performance, something I feel safe to say no parent in this room feels is the case. Once again, I would like to state that we have had the most wonderful experience with Ms. Hensley. It has been apparent this year that she loves our kids like her own. To learn that she is not wanted by MISD is appalling. To learn that a school that has had a 34.7% turnover rate between last year and this year is actively trying to terminate a teacher for nothing that was inappropriate in the classroom.
Thank you, Ms. Falkenrath. Next speaker, Tyler Bussell of Montgomery, Texas.
Okay, I'm nervous and I have a lot to say, so I'm just going to read. Good afternoon, school board members. As many of you know, I'm Tyler Bussell. I know many of you personally and professionally. I know a lot of you personally and professionally. I'm here to speak as a parent of 5 MISD children who were educated in the walls of these buildings. I actually subbed in this very building pregnant. By the end of it, I will have attended 10 MISD schools, 2 graduates, 1 bear, 1 lion, another lion graduating this year, and I have a 5th and a 2nd grader. My time, I have seen administrations come and go, superintendents and principals, but one thing that has never changed is our small town feel, where the culture and the heart of the community collide at the school. When you are greeted with a smile, almost everyone on campus knows your name and can probably match you with your child, where your voice matters. Your child is known, loved, and valued. Lincoln Elementary has that culture. From our teachers to our nurses, from our librarian to our cafeteria manager, from Officer Dawn to our unbelievable paras, we have that culture. That culture is a top priority to Carrie Ashlock. To quote my oldest son's favorite movie, attitude reflects leadership. The attitude at Lincoln Elementary is positive. We are exhausted, yes, but we have happy teachers. Many of these teachers are both friends and colleagues outside of the school building. I spend a lot of my time on various committees, boards, PTOs. I currently work as a substitute teacher at Lincoln Elementary. I am an Aggie-educated, multi-certified classroom teacher. She sets high standards for her teachers while maintaining an open-door policy. This is true for any and every teacher on campus. She expects you to give everything you've got and promises to meet you halfway. The leadership under Carrie Ashlock has been positive. Our school has jumped in rating, and that starts at the top and filters down to our teachers, who are in the nitty-gritty, tirelessly closing the gap, inspiring learners, teaching compassion, growing unbelievable scholars. You can't have this type of learning and imagination without inspiring and supportive leadership. My favorite place to sub in my true passion is special education. The Carrie Ashlock's philosophy in support of education was called into question, and I can 100% refute that. She cares about special education. My favorite classroom is CARES, also known as Life Skills. It is where our most compromised, specialized, and dependent students are learning. Carrie Ashlock is fiercely protective of these students while encouraging and supporting their ability to grow and learn. Carrie Ashlock is passionate about educating all of our students. I think we were all devastated a few years ago when we lost both our assistant principal and principal in the same year. But she walked in with all the grace and humility of a professional on a mission. She was on a mission to prove to parents, teachers, and students that she is the best fit for Lincoln Elementary. I have worked closely with her over the years, and I have watched, and I have come to believe that she is the right fit for our school, and I trust her judgment. While I can't say I wouldn't send my kids to another school in MISD, we are full of great schools. I am beyond thankful that we attend Lincoln Elementary, and I am proud that Carrie Ashlock is our principal. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Ruby Waymeyer of Montgomery.
Hi, I'm a 5th grade student of Ms. Hensley, and I wrote a letter to her since we were not allowed to speak to her, nor were not allowed to speak about this incident. And I just wanted to start off by saying how kind, smart, and well-spoken Ms. Hensley is. She's honestly brought the best out of me since I've switched to her classroom. There is nothing more I could ask for, honestly. She's honestly like a second mom to me. I've had a lot of wonderful teachers, but she's probably the best I've had. I don't know what I would have done without her. She's left everyone at an amazing learning ability and level. I do not know what the full story was, but I do know that everyone misses her. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruby. Next, Gentry Dugan of Montgomery.
Hello, my name is Gentry Dugan. I am a student of Mrs. Hensley. I am here to discuss that the removal of Mrs. Hensley was unnecessary. First, Mrs. Hensley is the best teacher I've had because she is supportive, kind, joyful, and overall an amazing teacher. Mrs. Hensley always comes to our baseball games to support us outside of school hours. Not a lot of kids get to experience this kind of relationship with a teacher. Next, I just feel sad because other students in lower grades will not be able to have such an amazing teacher. She has molded us to become kind, smart, respectful. Mrs. Hensley makes kids feel safe and make kids want to come to school each day. Last, I believe that there should be more teachers like Miss Hensley. Mrs. Hensley makes class fun. She works with the class, but also works a lot on the student where he or she is struggling. In conclusion, Mrs. Hensley is an amazing teacher, and she should be able to teach again.
And next, Chrissy Dugan of Montgomery.
Hello, y'all might recognize me from our last meeting. I just wanted to say that it was not until her termination became a topic of a public school board meeting that I, along with many other parents, learned of any concern regarding Miss Hensley. For this, I felt a responsibility to speak up in her favor. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm nervous. I hate public speaking. I felt a responsibility to speak up regarding the overall mishandling of this matter by administration. Upon advocating for her child, her complaints were dismissed. And in turn, she was faced with adverse action from her administration. It has since been implied that due to unprofessional conduct, poor evaluation performance, and that her being on campus was not in the best interest of students, which I find absolutely absurd. Since Ms. Hensley's dismissal 1 week ago today, I have still not received any correspondence from the school regarding my child's teacher being removed from the classroom due to safety concerns. If she's being removed due to safety concerns, wouldn't it be necessary to reach out to parents and let them know? I know other parents have received emails and phone calls. I did not. I checked with Gentry's father and stepmother. None of them have gotten any emails or calls regarding this change in his classroom. Admin is keeping parents in the dark, telling the students not to talk about it, and insinuating that Miss Hensley, of all people, is of bad moral character. Why was this matter first brought to the public by MISD at a public board meeting with no details as to what led up to this discussion, unless it was an attempt to induce an inflammatory response from the teacher who was already feeling dismissed and attacked by her administrator? If a teacher with a probationary contract is merely unliked by her team, why not suggest a transfer to another school within the district? What is the justification for taking away this teacher's livelihood? Ms. Hensley has been a fantastic teacher to our children. I sincerely hope other MISD principals will take notice of the support she's getting from parents and offer her a position to keep her in this school district. Thank you.
Thank you. And our last registered public speaker today is Elisa Adkins of Montgomery, correct?
Hello, my name is Elisa. My daughter is a student in Ms. Hensley's class. I just want you guys to know that I came here 3 years ago because I have children that are under 504 and have IEPs. And where we were residing, they were not getting the help that they needed. Being in this district has made a huge difference for my children. My daughter has excelled this school year with Ms. Hensley, and then to remove her teacher and get no justification or reason behind it, the children are talking to one another. They're upset. They don't know what's happened to their teacher. I never received a phone call from the principal. I have friends that receive phone calls, but I never did. I got an email that stated they would have a new teacher due to philosophical differences and performances. Well, if that was the case, then my daughter wouldn't have exceeded her goals under her 504 to where they were able to remove some of her accommodations at the end of the school year. My daughter is upset that her teacher was not able to stay with them the rest of the school year. You pulled her teacher the week of STAR testing of all times to take someone away from students who need that support, who has been there for them this whole school year and who has been there to help them prepare for this test. And the week that they're supposed to be taking it, all of a sudden their teacher's gone. I do want you guys to understand that all of these kids in this classroom are speaking to each other. They're all friends. They all see each other outside of school. Ms. Hensley would come and watch their sports just so that she could show them that she supported them, not just in the classroom, but outside. I have never seen my daughter so upset for any reason, but for her to come home and tell me, Mommy, my teacher's not coming back, that's the worst thing you can hear from your child, especially when they feel so much passion for what their teacher does for them. And again, I came to this school district 3 years ago from where we were because we weren't getting the help and support we needed for our children, 3 of which were all under a 504 in the district. And I'm here on behalf of my daughter. I couldn't pick her up to bring her with me because I came straight from work to be here. But I just want you all to know the children are talking to each other and they're very upset. The parents are upset. And then I'm upset that I didn't even receive a phone call. I just got an email and that was it. And I don't feel that was right either, because if it was that much of an issue and such a big deal, shouldn't have every parent have been called that has a student in her classroom, not just a few. And you just want to purge and question, and you shouldn't question children either or allow them not to talk to each other. They're 5th grade, they're going to talk, especially if they love a teacher as much as they love Ms. Hensley. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. The board will now go into closed session to hear the Level 3 employee grievance hearing. We will return shortly. All right, folks, thank you for attending tonight and for giving us the time. The board has been in closed session hearing the elements of both sides of this argument. The board has reviewed lengthy documentation and evidence presented tonight. In this situation, the employee grieved that she was given a professional courtesy letter on March 1st. That professional courtesy letter was provided to her, and that is the only thing we can grieve as written in this grievance document. The employee resigned on her own volition. The employee resigned, let me repeat that, the employee resigned on her own volition. Last week, this board convened and also took no action on a recommendation, thereby accepting the resignation that the employee offered. We accepted her resignation, again, on her own volition. All of the information that has been provided in here tonight is what we have been able to review, hearing both parties for this lengthy period of time. Our attempts in taking that action last week and again tonight was to offer some grace. And with that, we tried to proceed forward with only the information we have available to us, only the information being grieved tonight. No matter what else you've heard, that is what we are able to do. So with that, folks, I will make a motion to uphold the Level 2 grievance recommendation. Is there a second?
I second.
Mr. Robb, thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? That motion carries unanimously. This meeting is adjourned.